On the day of my difficult labor, I desperately stopped my best friend from going to fetch Alexander Reed. Don't look for him. Go. Call 911 for an ambulance to transfer me to another hospital. In my last life, Alex missed his first love's birthday in order to stay by my side during my difficult labor. The first love drank poison out of sadness. Learning about this, Alexander just calmly organized a funeral for her. Until the day of the child's christening, he set the entire banquet hall on fire and watched me holding my son trapped in the flames, his eyes wild with madness. Emma Gray, it's just giving birth. If it weren't for your drama, Lily wouldn't have died. I'll make you all join her in the grave. This time, I stopped my best friend from going to find Alexander. At this moment, he was finally by his first love's side as he wished. But before I could catch my breath, a sharp pain shot through me, wrenching a scream from my lips. The doctor pressed on my abdomen, forcibly trying to push the child whose head had emerged back in. Waves of severe pain washed over me, like the pain was going to tear me apart. The once kind-faced family doctor was like a different person at this moment, constantly yelling, "Push hard, push hard. Didn't you hear me? Push." But the baby showed no sign of progress. In the private maternity ward, the best friend accompanying the delivery was sweating anxiously. Clutching her phone, she was about to leave. "Emma, just hold on. I'm going to call Alexander right now." Before she could run out, the doctor snatched her phone. "Today is Miss Lily's birthday, Mr. Reed is with her. You can't go there. Madam, push a little harder and the child will be born. Mr. Reed is too busy to get away every day. As his wife, how can you keep trying to cause him trouble? Can't you be more considerate?" Wave after wave of pain and the family doctor's menacing tone reminded me that I really was reborn. It was the same in my previous life. I could barely hold on due to the difficult labor. My best friend Sarah, worried sick, was crying too hard to even ask Alexander to come. Just as in this moment, she was stopped by the doctor. They insisted on not disturbing Alexander from accompanying his first love, Lily, over something as minor as childbirth. It was by invoking my status as the daughter of the wealthiest businessman in town that I made Sarah summon Alexander. But having lived through this again, I don't want to contact Alexander any longer. I gritted my teeth through the excruciating pain and told Sarah, "Call 911. I need to transfer to a different hospital." The doctor's face flashed with panic, and in the next moment, she pressed my shoulders and shoved me heavily back onto the bed. The doctor then ferociously pulled Sarah back. "Change which hospital? Mr. Reed specifically arranged for me to help Madam give birth. How can you guys be so ungrateful? Isn't that what all women go through during childbirth? How bad could the pain be? You can't even deliver the baby properly, yet you're still being so dramatic. What if the reporters outside take pictures and get Mr. Reed and Lily into trouble? Get back here. You're not going anywhere." She yanked Sarah violently, causing her to stumble, and soon two people rushed in from the corridor to pin her down on the ground. It was only then that I noticed a group of security guards in black suits had appeared outside the maternity ward at some point. The doctor forcefully pried my legs apart, grabbed the baby and yanked it violently. Blood instantly stained the mattress. The sudden tearing pain shot through the crown of my head. I was in so much pain that tears streamed down my face, and I didn't have the strength to sit up at all. The doctor wrung a towel and said fiercely, "Save your strength. Mr. Reed specially ordered today, no matter what happens to you, you're not to go to him." My heart sank, and tears fell down from the corners of my eyes. It seems that Alexander has also been reborn. In this life, he knew that I would have a difficult labor and be on the verge of death, but he still chose Lily without hesitation. In my previous life, with Alexander around, the doctor didn't dare to act improperly even though they were reluctant to deliver my baby. I successfully gave birth to my son, and the mother and child were safe. Lily, however, drank poison in a fit of anger because Alexander was not able to accompany her on her birthday. Alexander blamed himself. After I gave birth, he stayed in Lily's bedroom for 3 whole days, not eating or drinking. When he came back, he looked calm, as if nothing had happened, and had her buried in style. Then he returned to hold a christening for his son. At the ceremony, he held his son, calmly accepting the congratulations of the guests. But when he put his son on the table for the traditional first toy selection, he threw a lighter. I also realized then that he had poured gasoline around the reception hall beforehand. The fire was raging and spreading uncontrollably throughout the banquet hall. I wanted to grab my son and hold him in my arms to escape, but he swatted me away and threw my son into the flames right before my eyes. I was so burned by the fire that my flesh stuck to my clothes. But he turned and dragged me to Lily's memorial photo, forcing my head down to bow again and again. As the tongues of fire raged, he looked like the devil emerging from hell, spewing vicious words. If it wasn't for you, how could Lily have died? She no longer has any relatives, she can only rely on me. You've already taken me away from her, why are you still pressuring her like this? I was in so much pain that I couldn't speak, the smoke making my eyes water, my forehead broken from his repeated knocking, blood streaming down my face. I could only shake my head desperately. After marrying Alexander, I proposed buying a house downtown for Lily, but he directly brought her to our new home. Because I knew she had been without parents since childhood, I treated Lily as my own sister since we got married 3 years ago. Even the day before giving birth, I mentioned to my father that we should find an opportunity to let Lily work at the company. I didn't know it was Lily's birthday, and I was just too scared. I lost so much blood and I was afraid I would die. But no matter how much I cried and begged for forgiveness, Alexander refused to believe it. You snake-hearted woman, how could you possibly have such a good heart? Since Lily died because of you, you have to be buried with her. The fire engulfed us and burned away what was left of my expectations for him. But now that I've been reborn, I don't want to die here. I could feel myself losing more and more blood, and I barely had the strength to open my eyes. In my dazed state, through the crack in the maternity ward door, I saw Max, the border collie my father had given me. Worried about me, my best friend had brought him along when she came to accompany me during labor. I whistled and Max immediately flew in from outside. When the doctor realized what was happening, her face changed drastically. She grabbed the scissors at hand and smashed them at the dog. Get lost. Damned beast, get out now. You guys, hurry up and catch that beast. The security guards in black swarmed in. However, Max had been specially trained and was agile, rampaging through the room, knocking over several doctors who tried to block it. Max's eyes were fixed on me as I haltingly used the command I trained it with, go to Grandpa. The doctor, however, suddenly turned around and gagged me tightly with a soaked towel. You want to talk? You want to talk? Today is Lily's birthday, none of you are allowed to disturb her. I couldn't speak, the security guards couldn't catch Max despite their numbers but soon drove it out. It could only hide from them outside the door, looking at me eagerly and wailing. It's a good thing that Sarah has grown up with me since childhood, and she's learned some dog whistles for training. But she only had time to let out a short whistle before the doctor slapped her hard. Every one of you is a jinx, only knowing how to cause trouble for Mr. Reed. Sarah was gagged in front of me and dragged out by force. The door to the maternity ward slammed shut, and in the room, she and I were the ones left, along with a few other nurses from the hospital who had helped deliver the baby. I was losing more and more blood, but the pain was getting weaker and weaker, and the baby hadn't moved for half a day. I was desperate and panicked, and just couldn't breathe. The doctor barked orders at the staff while cursing, "This is such a mess. Who the hell gives birth like you? I'm stuck with you today. Push harder. Did you skip breakfast or what? Get this baby out now, I've still got to make it to Miss Lily's birthday party." Just when I thought I was going to die here today, an annoyed voice snapped from outside the door, "What are you all blocking the way for? Can't see Dr. Gray's here? Move it now." It's my sister? Surprise rose in my heart, but I could no longer make a sound. The doctor had even tied my wrist with bandages to prevent me from struggling. Hearing the sound from outside, she looked at the blood all over the ground and her expression changed slightly. How much longer? Still can't push it out? The bleeding can't be stopped, shit. I can't let the dean see this, or I'll be finished. Right. Stuff it back in, I have to stuff the baby back in. She muttered under her breath and pressed one hand to my stomach, slamming the baby that had emerged back into my belly. I collapsed in spasms of pain, but all I could do was strike the bed frame with my elbows, desperately hoping my sister would hear the noise and come save me. The next moment, a voice came from outside. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and open the door. How long has my sister been in there? Why is there no news yet? Also, this is a hospital, who let you come here?" My sister had always been decisive and formidable. Throughout the entire city, no one dared to take her lightly. The doctor who delivered the baby suddenly got up, hastily washed her blood-covered hands, and instructed the others, "All of you hold her down, hurry up and stuff the baby back, I'll deal with the director." She finished speaking and left the room. The nurses she had instructed timidly approached and continued the doctor's procedures. Dr. Zhang's low voice came from outside the door. "Dr. Gray, calm down first, it's not that I don't want you to come in. The truth is Madam is still in labor. You're a doctor yourself, you should know women are most vulnerable during this time. What if she gets chilled or catches a cold, and develops chronic health issues later? Women give birth quickly. I understand your concern for the madam's health. Why don't you wait here a while? The child will be out soon, and I'll ensure both mother and child stay safe." My sister said coldly, "I'll give you 1 hour. If the baby isn't out by then, you're fired from the hospital." Not a moment later, I saw the door to the delivery room being pulled open and then closed again. Dr. Zhang walked toward me with a smug look, glanced at my lower body, her face twisted in disgust. The people around her looked at her worriedly and asked in a low voice, "Dr. Zhang, what should we do? If the director finds out, we'll all be finished. What's there to panic about?" She kicked the nurse angrily, turned to me with a vicious glint in her eyes, and hissed, "In that case, dead people don't talk. When a woman's giving birth, anything can happen. Just get the baby out, who cares if the mother dies?" My heart plummeted, fear crept through my mind, and goosebumps covered my skin. I couldn't move my arms, so I stamped my feet heavily on the bed. The doctor immediately stepped forward to hold my foot down and gave the nurse beside me a look. The nurse was still hesitant, but "Dr. Zhang, she's the Gray family's daughter. You also know that she's the daughter of Gray Enterprises." The doctor spat in her face, "If she blabs about today's mess, all of us will get permanently blacklisted and shipped off to who knows where. Mr. Reed and Lily will get dragged down with her too." After the doctor finished speaking, the nurse looked like she had made up her mind about something. Several people approached me as some pinned my arms and others covered my mouth and nose with bandages. I struggled desperately, wishing I could hit the bed with every part of my body. Outside the door, my sister's voice rang out again, "What's going on in there? Where's Alexander? My sister's giving birth today. If he wasn't here to stay with her, where did he go? Hurry up, and call him to get his ass over here." The doctor froze mid-movement as she pressed down on me, then hurriedly let go and rushed out, shouting, "No, Dr. Gray. We can't ask Mr. Reed to come here." "What? Since when is it up to you to say no to what this young lady wants to do?" My sister's voice turned cold as she pressed her. Through a gap in the doorway, I saw the doctor bend over, her body trembling non-stop. My sister sent someone to fetch Alexander. I struggled, trying to reach out to stop her. "I don't want Alexander to come, I just want my sister to come save me." But the sounds and movements I made were too weak. Soon, the assistant came back, but behind her was Ms. Parker, Alexander's secretary. The assistant stammered, "Dr. Gray, Mr. Reed said that today is Miss Lily's birthday and he will be accompanying her. He has already sent someone to look after your sister." "Asshole." My sister was furious. Ms. Parker added, "Mr. Reed also said he arranged a blind date for you today. You should meet your potential partner now, not here. Mr. Reed said that if you don't go over there, he will call your father and have him speak to you personally. Don't, sis, don't go." Almost immediately, I thought that this was what Alexander did. The doctor also said with a sneer, "Dr. Gray, you'd better attend the blind date first. After all, it was Mr. Reed who took such pains to find you this well-matched partner. We can't keep them waiting indefinitely." Alexander invoked my father. My sister's chest heaved violently as she turned and left in her high heels. Suddenly, with a loud bang, I broke free from the nurses restraining me and knocked the tools beside the operating table to the ground. Ms. Parker, who was just about to follow her out, suddenly stopped and furrowed her brow. "What's that noise in there?" But my struggle was only momentary. I was immediately pinned down by the nurses. There was more and more blood underneath me, and my vision was getting blurry. Dr. Zhang turned back in horror and hurriedly closed the door tightly, nervously saying to Ms. Parker, Nothing, you must have misheard. Go find Mr. Reed now. Tell him to spend Lily's birthday with her. I've got this under control here." Ms. Parker took a step to leave as well. I clenched my teeth, grabbed the nurse pinning my arm, and bit her. That nurse screamed. The two nurses on either side came over to pull me. I bit down hard and didn't let go, soon drawing blood. That nurse screamed twice in pain and, seeing that she couldn't push me away, simply covered her mouth. Outside the door, Ms. Parker took a few steps and stopped again, sternly asking, "What's going on inside, making such a big commotion?" "Today is Miss Lily's birthday. There are reporters everywhere outside, affecting Mr. Reed and Miss Lily. Can you afford to take responsibility?" The doctor shook her head repeatedly. It won't, don't worry." Before she could finish speaking, I heard waves of alarmed cries. "Dr. Gray, you can't go in, your sister is still in labor, you can't go in." Someone, stop the doctor quickly. Bang! My sister kicked the door open, her expression twisting in shock. The nurses restraining me released their grip in panic. As the last bit of consciousness faded, I trembled and reached toward my sister. "Get a different doctor. Don't contact Alexander." When I woke up again, my son was already lying beside me, eyes closed, sleeping peacefully. Sarah sat on the edge of the bed with red eyes, handing me water. "Emma, you're okay. Little James is safe too." "That's such a relief. You scared me to death. I thought I'd never see you again." Before I could speak, two people entered through the door. Sarah hurriedly got up to offer her seat, but Alexander snatched the hot water from her hands and dumped it on me. "Emma Gray, have you made enough of a scene? It's just childbirth. Who let you throw Dr. Zhang in jail?" Only then did I notice Lily behind him, with red-rimmed eyes, timidly tugging at his sleeve. "Alex, please, you must rescue Dr. Zhang. You know, I grew up without parents, and Dr. Zhang was the only one who truly cared for me. If anything happens to her, I won't want to live anymore." Alexander hugged her, soothing her with gentle words, but when he looked at me, his eyes grew gloomy, as if I were some unforgivable sinner. The water wasn't so hot anymore, splashed onto my face. It didn't particularly hurt, but I was still chilled to the core. He said he wanted to start a business, so I pestered my dad to invest in his company and introduced him to partners. He said he couldn't bear to see Lily suffer, so I made sure she got the best in every way. Even so, I still couldn't warm his heart. Sarah hurriedly said, "Alexander, Emma had a difficult delivery today, and it was that doctor who intentionally tried to harm her." "Did I ask you to speak?" Alexander backhanded her, then coldly warned me, "Emma Gray, I don't care how irrationally you act, don't lay a hand on Rachel Zhang. Today is Lily's birthday. I won't talk to you much, so I'll only give you 1 day to get Rachel Zhang released." After he finished speaking, he took Lily and left. Before Lily left, she even threw a provocative smile at me. But I'd exhausted all my strength from going through the gates of hell today, so I couldn't be bothered with her. After drinking the medicine my best friend brought me, I dozed off. At dinner time, my sister came. She surveyed my expression and tentatively asked, "Emma, about Rachel Zhang, do you still plan to keep her in custody?" Alexander didn't return all night. When my dad and mom found out, they both flew over overnight to see me, with lots of stuff in big bags. They stayed with me in the hospital room until midnight before reluctantly leaving. In the early hours of the morning, Lily arrived with a swaying, graceful gait. She had just arrived and was stopped by the security guards at the door, but she wasn't angry. She said loudly to me, "Sister Emma, I actually didn't want to come and bother you so late at night. But Alex invited a lot of good friends today to celebrate my birthday, and now he's tired, sleeping in my room. Alex originally didn't want me to come see you, but I was afraid you'd overthink and misunderstand, so I came to let you know." Saying something about being afraid I'd misunderstand, there was not the slightest intention to avoid suspicion in her words. I sat back on the bed, soothing my son who was woken up by the commotion. "By the way, Sister Emma, I know you're angry because Alex came to celebrate my birthday and didn't accompany you to give birth. But you can't blame Dr. Zhang either. She only helped you deliver the baby. If it hadn't been for her, how could that child of yours have been born so smoothly?" I was so infuriated it made me laugh. I got out of bed and threw on a coat to open the door for her. "Don't you want to see Dr. Zhang? I'll have someone bring her over." I called my sister, and before long, the bodyguard threw a photo in front of her. After seeing the person in the photo clearly, Lily was instantly so terrified that she screamed repeatedly, her face bloodless. After Dr. Zhang was taken away by my sister, she was sent overseas to work as a nurse. She resented this and fled the hospital that night, intent on sneaking back into the country, only to be intercepted and taken by a hedonistic rich kid notorious in their circle. It was only the first day, and she was tortured beyond recognition. A wealthy heir had gouged out Dr. Zhang's eyes, cut off her tongue, nose, and ears, severed the tendons and veins in her limbs, and left her body covered in wounds without a single patch of unbroken skin. She lay on the ground drenched in blood, now barely recognizable as a human being. Lily didn't wait for me to speak and, covering her mouth in fright, ran away screaming. I had someone handle the photos, went back to the ward to comfort my still crying son, and it took quite a bit of effort. My son had just been put to sleep when the door was kicked open and a furious roar came, "Emma Gray, you're crazy, how dare you hurt Dr. Zhang?" Lily followed behind Alexander, sobbing and sniffling, tears streaming down her face like a broken faucet. She tugged on the hem of Alexander's coat, crying, "Alex, I really didn't mean to keep you from accompanying Sister Emma. I just thought, since she's in labor, you're a man who doesn't understand childbirth. Staying there might only disturb her. I didn't expect. Alex, it's all my fault. Dr. Zhang was so good to me, and I'm the one who hurt her." As she spoke, she was about to slam her head against the wall. Alexander hurriedly pulled her, and after gently calming her down, he rushed over to grab me. "Emma Gray, you are simply too much. Come with me to the police station right now, turn yourself in and confess." I held my son and tried to move deeper into the bed, but he grabbed my hair without a second thought and backhanded me. "Emma Gray, I never thought you could be so vicious-hearted that just because I wasn't here with you, you would torture Dr. Zhang like this." His son was thrown onto the bed by him, thrashing his arms and legs and bawling. "Sir, you mustn't act this way." It was clearly that doctor who violated medical ethics, exploiting Emma's difficult labor to inflict fatal harm in an attempt to kill her. Sarah came running over at the commotion and defended me. Lily interrupted her with a scream, tears falling like rain. "Alex, I know Sister Emma has always disliked me. Dr. Zhang was the one I specially invited to deliver Sister Emma's baby. Does Sarah mean that I wanted to kill Sister Emma? Nonsense." Alexander was furious and kicked Sarah onto the ground. I tried to struggle to hold my son, but I couldn't muster any strength because I had just had a difficult labor and hadn't recovered yet. Alexander grabbed my hair and dragged me off the bed. "Go, you're coming with me to the police station now to seek justice for Dr. Zhang." Ignoring my struggles, Alexander dragged me out of the door. My body, having just given birth, had its wound reopened, and blood trailed all the way. As if he didn't care, Alexander gripped the back of my neck and shoved me into the Bentley. Over his shoulder, I saw Lily raise her eyebrows at me triumphantly. The car was just about to start when a gorgeous Rolls-Royce pulled up in front of us. My dad's cold voice came from outside the car, "I'm the one who sent Dr. Zhang overseas. If you want justice, why didn't you come to me? Alexander knit his brows slightly, his face livid as he released me. Sarah hurried over to support me. My sister got off the car behind my father, glanced at Lily standing there, and curled her lips. I've long heard Alexander had a beloved first love. Seeing her today, she does look familiar and kind. The more I watch, the fonder I grow. So, Father, Emma, and I would like to invite Lily for brunch. Don't you have a collaboration to discuss with Mr. Reed? You all go ahead with your business. We sisters won't interfere here. Lily shook her head repeatedly and hid behind Alexander. Alexander also wanted to protect her, but was yanked away by my sister. Mr. Reed, this is a sisters' gathering. You shouldn't join us, it's not appropriate. Alexander looked at my father and said worriedly to Lily, don't worry, I will soon find a way to save you. After my sister took Lily and me back, the doctor gave me more medicine to stop the bleeding. I asked Sarah to fetch my son, then soothed him for a long time before going back to sleep. I stayed at my sister's house for a few days and felt better before she told me nonchalantly, Lily is live streaming right now, do you want to take a look? When puzzlement flashed in my eyes, my sister had someone send over a tablet, which clearly showed a video call with Lily. The room is pitch black, appearing to be a live stream with occasional gifts being sent, all from international IDs, resembling an international dark web. My sister said, I originally wanted to send Lily on a trip abroad, but there was an accident, which accidentally allowed Alexander's nemesis to catch wind of the news. She was kidnapped. The kidnapper sent this live link, demanding we pay the ransom or else they'll kill her. I had just sat down when, in the video, Lily was surrounded by many guards, just like on the day of my difficult labor. Lily's expression changed slightly and she glared at the camera warily. What are you guys trying to do? The tablet popped up a connection invitation at this moment. I hesitantly connected and heard Lily's voice, clear and amplified, I'm warning you guys, hurry up and let me go. Emma Gray, it's you, isn't it? Did you put them up to this? Get them to release me now, or Alex will make you pay. I calmly looked at Lily with a horrified expression in the video, is that so? Then you should ask your Alex for the ransom instead of coming to me. I'll just hang up and watch you die right before my eyes. The guard kicked her in the back of the knee, sending her to the ground. Lily was pinned by the guards and tilted her head up. She must have realized something, glaring angrily at the camera, how dare you? It's not like I kidnapped you. What makes you think I won't? I curled my lips into a slight smile. Don't forget you're abroad. Once I hang up, no one will be able to save you. Emma Gray. Lily's eyes widened, and she suddenly raised her voice sharply, you're committing intentional murder. Then what do you call it when you collaborated with doctors to repeatedly block me from changing hospitals? Was that all premeditated? Lily turned pale, shaking her head frantically as tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't, she denied. Her tears were useful to Alexander, but not useful to me or the group of kidnappers. I didn't say anything else. The kidnappers seemed to lose patience and waved someone over. A few ruthless-looking guards came into the dark room and slapped her left and right 100 times. In an instant, Lily screamed miserably and kept begging for mercy. I'm wrong, please, let me go. There was a sudden banging on the door. Emma Gray, I know you're home. Open up right now and let Lily out. Through the peephole, I saw Alexander in a sharp suit, aggressively banging on the door. Behind him followed a group of reporters, aiming camera flashes toward the door with crackling rapidity. Lily's face has been swollen, making it impossible to see her original appearance. Hearing the noise from my side, the light of hope rose in her eyes, and she resumed that high and mighty look. Alex is here to save me. He's here, he's got money, he can give you whatever ransom you want. Let me go now, or when he finds you, you'll regret it. I snorted coldly and strode back to the video feed, saying to Lily, want to know how Dr. Jean kept screwing with me the day I was in labor? Lily froze, like she didn't understand what I meant. I looked back at the door. Alexander knocked on the door but received no response, so he started to get someone to kick it down. Lily's face was full of panic, immediately raised her voice and shouted, Alex. I hung up the phone immediately. In the video, one person pinched her chin and pulled out her tongue, while another person swiftly sliced off her tongue with a knife. With blood splattered all over the place, Lily rolled around in pain but couldn't make a sound. I sat back on the sofa and coldly watched Lily in the video being tortured beyond endurance, as she had no way to call for help. The kidnapper sent me a final threatening text, and I replied straight, "No money here. Do whatever you want with her, I don't care." From outside came Alexander's voice, "Emma Gray, what are you doing? Hurry up and open the door. The reporters are here. I'm warning you, if you don't want to lose your reputation, you'd better not mess around. Open the door. What the hell have you done to Lily?" No matter how much he screamed outside, the door showed no signs of being broken into. In the video, the kidnappers, blocked by me, punished Lily even more angrily. Her fingers had been crushed, and now even her legs were fractured. My sister slowly took a sip of wine and mused with me, "You know, from the day I brought you back, Alexander has been running around looking for people to exchange favors with. His company went bankrupt after Dad withdrew investments, yet he still found free time to search for Lily. Now he's even summoned all these reporters, who knows what story he fed them. It's really strange. This group of reporters is so clueless, they're actually helping him go against Dad." I was listening and couldn't help but laugh at myself. What else could he say other than telling the media I'm evil-minded and snake-hearted? 3 years as a couple, and I can honestly say I never treated him poorly. Yet he treats me like an enemy. In the video, Lily has been tortured to the brink of death, reduced to a broken shell. I called my dad, had the security guard stop the group of reporters at the door, and then opened the door. Alexander stormed in, searching frantically upstairs and downstairs like a madman. Finally, he rushed up to me all at once, and I threw the video sent by the kidnapper into his arms. He saw Lily lying in a pool of blood. His face paled, and he nearly lost his balance. I calmly reminded him, "Mr. Reed, better keep that phone steady. With all these reporters outside, you wouldn't want social media to see Lily's bloody mess now, would you?" Alexander staggered, probably never having imagined that I, who had always been so obedient to him, would speak to him in such a cold tone. But he quickly came back to his senses, his hand trembling as he tried to contact the people in the video. "Don't mess around. Isn't it just money you want? You guys want a ransom or to burn money, I'll give you whatever you want. I just want you guys to let Lily go, and let her go right now." But his words came too late. Lily was half dead. The kidnappers got his repeated assurances before they agreed to let her go. The video call is disconnected, Alexander's palms are sweaty, I feign guilt with a hand over my mouth, making a surprised look. "Oops, so you still have money for Lily's ransom? I thought you had gone bankrupt and couldn't come up with the money, so I wanted to have Lily be sympathetic and considerate, not ask for so much money and be a bit more understanding." Alexander was so angry that his chest rose and fell violently, and he viciously glared at me. "Emma Gray, you will regret it. I will definitely get justice for Lily." He turned to leave. I called out to him, "That's my phone." He paused mid-step, then turned around angrily and threw the phone at my face. That night, I heard that Alexander flew abroad overnight and spent a lot of money to bring Lily back. I felt no turmoil in my heart. With a few maneuvers, I rendered Alexander's entire board of directors powerless, seized control of the company's stocks, and consulted lawyers on how to ensure he left with nothing. As soon as the plane landed, a press conference was convened, and a group of people holding cameras pushed their way toward me. "I can't believe the Gray family's younger daughter is such a vicious, snake-hearted woman. How could there be someone so evil as to intentionally get Miss Lily kidnapped? Simply inhumane. This kind of person must be exposed, and their entire family must never be allowed to rise again." Above the countless flashing lights, Alexander led the reporters, glaring viciously at me, as if he wanted to skin me alive. The reporters scrambled and crowded around me. "Miss Gray, is what Mr. Reed said true? Is it true that you deliberately let the kidnappers abduct and torture Lily because you were jealous of her?" I closed my eyes and said slowly and deliberately, Lily's situation has nothing to do with me, she brought this upon herself. But since you're asking, I have something to say to you. In the 3 years I've been married to Alexander Reed, I can confidently say there was nothing I didn't consider for him and Lily. When I was in labor a few days ago, dying from difficult delivery, Lily collaborated with friends at the hospital and tried to prevent the delivery. Alexander even forbade me from calling to get another doctor just to accompany Lily for her birthday. After the child was born, he would even beat or scold me and the child because of Lily. With that single statement, the crowd was suddenly in an uproar. Alexander looked at me with wide eyes, his face full of incredulity. He quickly retorted to me, "What nonsense are you spouting? Lily has been kind since she was a child. How could she possibly do such vicious things? You must have deliberately slandered her to discredit her." I had someone call over the nurses who together helped Dr. Zhang deliver my baby that day, and they confessed on camera. Then I presented the surveillance footage of Lily consulting Dr. Zhang about preventing me from attending her birthday, playing it to the cameras. This was retrieved from the hospital. She herself admitted wanting to kill me to silence me. What else can you say? Alexander Reed, both in emotion and reason, I am your lawful wife. Where would you be today without me? Yet now your own wife is being persecuted by them, your flesh and blood son nearly strangled by their conspiracy. How dare you blindly abet their evil deeds without discerning right from wrong? Alexander staggered, still shaking his head in disbelief. Absolutely impossible, Lily isn't like that. You must have used some underhanded tactics. My heart is filled with sorrow. Even now, he still refuses to believe me. I had others brought in, causing Alexander to suddenly turn pale. I sneered and asked, "What is it, Alexander? Do they look familiar?" On the day I had a difficult labor, they were all arranged by you personally, saying that you were going to accompany Lily for her birthday, and no one was allowed to disturb the two of you. I said, rolling up my sleeve to show him the bruises Dr. Zhang had pinched into me. And these are all evidence of Dr. Zhang abusing me during my difficult labor. Enough. As if he couldn't take it anymore, Alexander shouted, cutting me off. He looked at me in a daze, snatched away the cell phone I was showing the reporters, and suddenly softened his tone. What do you want to do? Emma Gray, you said yourself that we're husband and wife. Even if it's really Lily's fault, you're still fine, aren't you? I'll just have her apologize to you. Why did you have to resort to such deadly measures against her? I couldn't help but laugh in anger. At this point, he still wanted to trick me into publicly admitting things I'd done to Lily. But I didn't do those in the first place. My father on the sidelines couldn't stand it anymore and coldly snapped at him, Alexander Reed, shut up. Did I give my daughter to you just so you could trample on her like this? I did not wish to speak further to Alexander and turned to the reporters. Everyone, the witnesses and evidence are all here. Since you happen to be present, I ask that you and the public bear witness for me. I want to divorce Alexander Reed and have them all punished. Alexander stared at me incredulously. Emma Gray, you are so cruel? I ignored him. The reporters, who had been so indignantly demanding that I pay the price moments before, were now exchanging bewildered glances. But after all, Alexander didn't directly do anything unfavorable to me. He was taught a lesson by the police and detained for 3 months. I then took the opportunity to file for divorce with him, ensuring he left with nothing. After the divorce, Alexander sent me messages almost every day saying he wanted to see me. I ignored all of them and blocked every contact. The day before he was to be sent abroad by my father, Lily finally couldn't hold on, she died. She had no parents, so I cremated her body and went to see Alexander. 3 months had passed, and he had lost his former vigor, with a scruffy beard and utterly disheveled. Emma, you're finally willing to see me. As soon as he saw me, he tried to rush over and hug me. You don't know what I've been through these 3 months, they actually dared to hit me and curse me. He was saying, rolling up his sleeves to show me the injuries on his body. I spoke up to stop him, I know. What? I held my head high, sitting in my Maserati, looking down at him disdainfully, because I had someone do it. It was you? Alexander instantly widened his eyes. How could it be you? Why are you? Don't play dumb, Alexander. You've been reborn, and so have I. Did you really think I'd keep pretending to be your wife in this lifetime? I curled my lips and articulated each word clearly. In my past life and this one, for every single thing you've done, I will make you repay for each and every one of them. Alexander desperately shook his head. No, it's not like that, Emma, you obviously love me so much, you couldn't have done this to me. Is it your sister who instigated you? I knew it. She's a good-for-nothing. If you hang around her, you'll be corrupted by her. Slap him. The bodyguard restraining him swung his arm wide and landed a heavy slap across his face, snapping his head sideways. Alexander, do you think you're still the noble Mr. Reed from before? Who gave you the guts to dare accuse my sister? You had those achievements because I loved you and had my father bestow them upon you. Did you really think you climbed up step by step through your own scheming? I said, your efforts are worthless in the face of my love, and now that you've lost what little value you had left, why should I indulge you? Oh right, remember your precious first love? I signaled the bodyguard to bring over the urn and put it in front of him. Alexander looked up in a daze, and I realized that tears were blurring his eyes as he pushed the dust off his face. Didn't you say that I killed Lily and that you wanted me to pay with my life? I asked him with a cold smile, since you've already framed me, having been reborn into this life, wouldn't it be a shame if I didn't make it a reality? You. Alexander kept repeating this one word, couldn't say anything else. I had achieved my purpose, so I ignored him and told the driver to head home. Alexander, however, suddenly rushed over, grabbing the car window. Don't go, Emma, I beg you, don't go. I looked at him. Is this your way of begging? Alexander was dumbfounded for a moment, looked down, and hesitantly bent his legs to kneel in front of me. I beg you. Emma, I'm begging you, I know I messed up. Let's get back together, okay? I swear I've learned my lesson, I'll never treat you this way again. We still have a son, Emma, can you bear to see our son born without a father? He cried sadly, but I didn't see a bit of sadness in his eyes. I only saw hatred. I knew this was just a step in his plan to endure humiliation. If I got back together with him, he would still kill me later when he got the chance. I snorted, do you remember how you threw your newborn son into the fire in your previous life? Alexander froze, then hurriedly knelt and shuffled 2 steps forward, saying, I remember everything. I'm sorry, Emma, it's my fault. I really do know I was wrong. Will you remarry me? I'll take good care of you and our son in the future, and I will make it up to you. I narrowed my eyes. Just remember, you deserve to die. After saying that, I had the bodyguard pull him away and drove home. The next day, Alexander was dispatched overseas. On the 3rd day, word came from my sister. Emma, did you know? Alexander is dead. I don't need my sister to tell me. I already know Alexander was captured during his business trip overseas, had both kidneys removed, and was tortured to death. I pursed my lips in surprise. Really, that's such a pity. The dust has settled.